Well. Good morning, everybody. For those of you who are on the first half of the segment, good morning again. It's so good to be back again at Industries Live. Again, this is just such a fun format. What I love the most about this sort of unstructured conversation is that we really get into sort of the meaty topics around generative AI and what we're seeing in our industries with our industry partners. We're very excited to move on to the next segment now with Deloitte. I'm going to reintroduce ourselves just because some people only dialed in for or connected in for this section. So welcome. My name is Michael Schmidt. I look after the Industry and Partner Solutions Center of Excellence here in Seattle, Washington. We work with our customers and partners globally across lots of different industries to help them with their cloud journeys and their generative AI journeys to help ensure that they get the best out of AWS and ultimately are able to innovate on our platform and be successful with AWS. It's my role is super exciting. I get to look across a whole bunch of different industries, whether it be media entertainment one day, financial services the next, travel and hospitality the day after that, oil and gas, energy the day after that. So it is always fun and exciting to see what generative AI is doing in an applied way and how it's changing the way we work, the way we live, and the day-to-day way we used to do things of yesteryear is completely different today and will be completely different tomorrow. We've spent a lot of time with customers and partners in the last 12 months, as I mentioned on the previous discussion, talking about the proof of concept production journey. And last year, lots of customers and partners wanting to try generative AI, thinking about how they can apply it in their businesses, what workloads can they apply it to. And this year, we're seeing a lot of sort of heavy production workloads using generative AI to really kind of move the needle. But of course, this year, the big talk is around agentic AI. And, as I said before, agents being the new apps. Agents that understand and think and act and will offer productivity gains that are exponential, which is very, very exciting. And customers are really wrestling with how to navigate the ethical accountability, transparency guidelines to be able to get the best out of their agentic AI workloads. But also to be able to ensure that they're looking at their end-to-end workflow to get the absolute best kind of performance and best benefits out of what agentic is going to offer them. So very excited to move on to the next part of our segment. I'm joined by Addy. Addy, why don't you introduce yourself and we'll get started.
Thanks, Michael. Hey, folks, I'm Addy Dubhashi. Good to be back on, I think, episode 12 of our Industries Live for Financial Services across the Partners Live series. And I'm always excited about these sessions because we get to talk about the speed at which customers in our industries are accelerating on AWS. As some of you may have heard at reInvent, we called out the focus and deep dive we have built around industry use cases across subsectors that help our customers to move fast and combine the Lego blocks, as you may consider, of our services into Lego kits that kind of solve for their business needs. And one of the most fascinating case studies come from our partners who have deep investments with AWS. They're able to shape their practices. They're able to specialize their engineering and developer teams all the way up to the C-level conversation business development groups. And one of the reasons I'm super excited to have our partner today is they actually have led the charge and have always been at the forefront of this change. And so I'm super excited to have Deloitte on the session today.
Me too. So I'm going to welcome Diego. Before we get started, please engage with us in the chat. We're monitoring the chat and we have people joining from all over the world and listening to what we have to talk about and the conversation today. Again, it's the intention is this is unstructured and intimate, and we're going to get into it in just a moment. Diego, welcome. So good to have you here on Industries Live. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your time. Very excited about this conversation. Perhaps why don't you start by introducing yourself and what you do at Deloitte?
Yeah, hi, Michael. Hi, Addy. Thank you so much for having me. Super excited. Hello, everyone. Diego Saenz. I'm a partner in our data and AI practice. I have been spending the last 3 years working very closely with AWS. We actually went around the country talking to clients about what they would like to see with generative AI applications. And we launched a data and AI accelerator program together with AWS with a significant investment to do AI at scale. And I'd like to share with you what we're doing that around the world.
That's
Awesome.
awesome. I think something that's really exciting is just the speed at which Deloitte continues to innovate on AWS. I've had the pleasure of working with the Deloitte teams for a number of years, and Deloitte is a financial services competency partner. They've invested as these topics and themes and subjects emerge. And so, all the way back from open banking regulation that was coming up over 8 years ago, Deloitte was leading the charge in kind of building those Lego kits, as we discussed, constructing those solutions that can help industries like such as banking to deploy digitally native banks in a matter of months versus years. Accelerating kind of unstructured legacy systems or older legacy systems into modernized systems, and I think with some of your platforms like Innovate, and then broader suites that continue to evolve and change the customer experience in the banking and asset management space through converged prosperity. All of these are fantastic services spinning up on AWS today. So Diego, just wanted to thank Deloitte and you and the team for continuing to invest. And it's absolutely a stellar example of what you're going to cover today on how we continue to innovate and build together for our customers in financial services, specifically the CFO persona. So it's a fascinating space. Would love to know what you're hearing and seeing coming up over the past few months.
Yeah, so probably about a year ago, I spoke with more C-suite executives, more CFOs, more directors than I had in such a compressed timetable. Over 90 days, we must have done, 25. Personally, I did 25 to 30 C-suite and board sessions, right? And what the clients were asking were a number of things, but specifically the CFOs wanted a practical solution at the intersection of GenAI and finance. And they felt when you think about GenAI, a client gave me this definition. I thought it was really brilliant about GenAI being the disruption of knowledge work. And I thought that was a super interesting definition. And when you think about finance and you think about banking and financial services, a lot of it is knowledge work. So it was really how do we build a solution that is going to accelerate AI powered finance transformation? How do you build the next generation finance function that is leaner, more agile, more cost effective, and more accretive to the bottom line? I actually was the former CIO for Pepsi Latin America a number of years ago, and I reported into the CFO. His name is Juan Figueiredo, was my boss, world-class CFO. He went on to lead Walmart M&A, and now he's a bank board member at a major bank. And we sat down in Atlanta over dinner, and it says, what does that look like for a world-class CFO to do AI-powered AI transformation? And I don't have a back of the napkin envelope because I would have needed a very large napkin to tell the whole story. So I had a whole notebook full of notes in terms of how do we do that. And then, we moved very quickly. I'm very pleased with Deloitte leadership and how quickly we have moved. Secured funding from both Deloitte and AWS to go build, what we now call AI Advantage for CFOs. We launched the product in July, and we are now deploying that around the globe, with CFOs that are truly transforming finance at the core, whether it be in business partnering with other C-suite executives and launching new businesses. And I've had calls even yesterday I wanted to think about a shared services center like I would build it from the ground up using AI. What would that design look like? That versus just kind of repurposing what we have now. How do we do that in the new reality? And those are very, very exciting possibilities. So that is some of the things that are going on. Even as we spoke this morning, I was getting chats from Switzerland and from Australia. So it's not just a US thing. I think it is truly global. I've spent a lot of time in airplanes going to visit with clients. So I think it's a global demand to do AI at scale and to truly, truly leverage its transformational capabilities.
I asked there, Diego, speaking of global footprint, lots of people connected from all over the world watching us today. I can see you're in the chat, Canada, Spain, Tenerife, I see, and we had Egypt this morning, Nepal. So I see we broke into Spanish at one point in the chat, which is exciting. I'm interested, just getting back to what you were talking there, Diego, about You talked about what, engaging with different global customers. I'm just interested in what you're seeing in terms of like trends or the differences in what you're seeing with your customers, globally in different markets, in different geographies. Like, can you perhaps touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, and I did a post this morning on LinkedIn about that. So I'll break it down kind of and a lot of it is driven. I agree that I see two kind of variations by market. One is regulation and AI law for compliance. I just did a post this morning listing some of it. I reposted it because I thought it was such a good cheat sheet of what's the AI compliance around Europe, around Asia, and around Latin America, and they're very different, right? So I think compliance is a big factor. The other thing about compliance, because we're moving so fast, it is no longer a quarterly audit. It is no longer a framework. It is no longer something that you just kind of present every quarter. Needs to be built into the architecture of the system. So we need to build compliance and traceability at the system. Deloitte has a framework which we actually developed many years ago. There's actually a book by one of our partners called Trustworthy AI. And really, how do you build trustworthy AI at the core of these systems and within our data platforms? So there's a big variability in terms of AI compliance and AI law, and how do we build that? The second one is around data and data regulation and data sovereignty, right? So those are the two elements that we spend a lot of time working with global clients in terms of data. So those are rate limiting or things that we need to look at, not limiting, but things that need to be considered. And then on the technology side, and I listened into the Anthropic call that we had earlier, I think the underlying technology capabilities are not at this time a rate limiting factor. Honestly, I think that we have more capability than we're really taking advantage of. So I did about 10 years of venture-backed capital, startups, built and sold two companies back in the dot-com era. And this feels as big or bigger than that in terms of the headroom for innovation. So that's what I'm seeing in terms of demand. I'm spending a lot of time in Europe, and I'll be heading back to Spain in May, and then Japan. So, and obviously, US is leading at this time.
I love that term, headroom for innovation. I totally agree. I mean, it is staggering how fast the pace is of innovation right now, and I agree with you. I think there's just so much there's so much in front of us. Tell me, I'm interested in what, just based on your experience, and again, talking about global footprint, what you're seeing with different customers and partners. What advice do you have for your customers and partners to be able to move quickly and be fast, like and be kind of looking at this transformation as a real opportunity, and to navigate it in a way that kind of gets them to where they need to be faster? Like, what advice do you have based on the experience that you've had looking at other customers that you've been working with?
So we need to apply an 80-20. The advice, and I've talked to many global CFOs, do not wait for your data to be perfect. There's enough use cases and enough value that we can extract from 20% of the data, right? Finance data tends to be governed data, right? Especially with public companies. So we can move very quickly with data, but we're applying the 80-20. We don't want to make a data modernization project that takes 18 to 24 months as a prerequisite to launching AI at scale, right? Because 24 months from now, we're going to be in a completely different place. So we have really done a good job with our clients and kind of framing that conversation and scaling. So do not let perfect data be a roadblock. Identify the 80-20 value. Number two is really cross-functional. I think a lot of the value really comes cross-functionally. There's a big media and entertainment client in New York. I was there last Friday. I was there with a VP of finance, and he was like, "We need to bring in our marketing folks because this is end to end, right? As you're doing a demand forecast, right? And then we can take an end to end to do a demand forecast, generate a marketing campaign, then based on that, personalize it, and then generate Google ads for that all in one workflow, right? So the workflow doesn't just stop in the finance of forecast is done and validated, right? It's really beginning the execution cycle of it. So kind of, end to end, redefining end to end as cross-functional within the AI versus just a finance solution. And then in terms of platform, I think that clients need to maintain a level of flexibility, but they need to make some big kind of architectural decision that gives them optionality, right? And that's one of the things that I enjoy very much about Bedrock is Bedrock. I can select my choice of model even at the agent level, right? So if I have a team of agents, I can define which model is best for that agentic task. So a robust architecture that gives you degrees of freedom and optionality, because who knows what the next model is going to be 24 months from now, right? So that's both an exciting possibility and one that we need to manage too.
Yeah, and I'd plus one on all of those points, Diego. I think there's just some stats within financial services that call out that the market just in banking alone is a $340 billion market that's going to go through change all through 2025 and 2026. And within that, I think there's a survey done by one of the analyst firms that called out that 28% of institutions have already rebuilt their organizational workflows around GenAI. So you're not only seeing a technology in its adoption curve, you're seeing organizations rebuild themselves and their kind of workflows to make sure that they have that agentic assistant or their GenAI colleague and support assistant available to them as they're operating. When it comes to making most of the data, I think to your second point, right, the speed really matters. And so something we've also identified is technology teams are making very calculated decisions on how they can deliver exponential value in small windows of time. The first one being kind of, hey, let's rewrite these older code repositories into new ones. Let's move that code over. This is an internal function. We can take the risk. We can move fast. And then they've been able to prove that out and move production grade workloads. But the other side of it is when mid-tier firms who may not have that data well structured and well organized, you can actually use GenAI to build the knowledge graphs and semantic maps of the data from unstructured data, and then kind of find the order in the information, leveraging GenAI. So it's also an accelerator in the ability to order your data, while it's a great way to apply your data when it is organized. So we've seen kind of customers get really creative in the way that they can build this. And the teams, our compliance teams and our regulatory teams are always there to help out. So both Deloitte and AWS kind of continually publish together on these topics. But there are dedicated specialists that can always be reached out to and there to help our customers and partners.
Yeah. We're moving so quickly that I think, whether it's a Deloitte client, AWS client, you do need a partner to help you guide you through this process because there's a lot of moving pieces to make a successful, transformation with AI and do AI at scale, right? Addy, you brought up a point that I want to emphasize. I don't think it can be emphasized enough, which is change management, right? The level of organizational change that we're seeing brought about by AI, it is not just process improvement, right? It is process redefinition. Sometimes it's business model redefinition, right? So do not leave change management out because the organization has to embrace the change and needs to adopt to the net new in a very compressed timetable.
Absolutely. One of the topics we touched on, and Michael, I think we were chatting about this, is really being able to create the deep dive workshop that can show value to the decision makers. And you had talked to us, Diego, about the CFO persona. So, I mean, tell us what's the mind of a CFO thinking about? What are the vectors and decisions they look at? And how do we kind of take away the undifferentiated heavy lifting of the technology layers that they may not care about, but focus on the business use case that helps them see value from GenAI?
Yeah. Their mindset is transforming vision to value. They want to be able to capture value faster. They want to increase organizational speed and agility because the markets are changing very, very quickly, right? So they want to take processes that take weeks and months to be able to do that in days or hours, right? So speed and agility, organizational is big. The other one is in terms of capturing new opportunities. A lot of CFOs says, okay, let's not only look at the cost side and the cost structure, but let's look at the opportunity side, right? And there's a lot of examples of folks that are evaluating new businesses, capturing other markets, launching new products, right? So the CFO is a strategic advisor to the CEO, and as a change agent has that frame of incremental business value or transformational business value. The second part is around the cost side, right? It is how can we make sure that we're capturing the efficiencies, and there's a very strong ROI case as we think about our footprint, right? Our finance footprint. And then the other one is greenfield. As we build greenfield operations, let's not use the old template. Let's come up with a new template so we don't have to do that. And then the final one is around capital allocation. It's really about, how do I allocate capital to AI opportunities, to AI platforms, and balance that with the other needs of the business, right? So those are some of the key conversation topics in addition to the compliance one.
Awesome. I think I'm just keeping an eye on the clock, Addy. I think we're also going to talk through a good example story, so perhaps we'll get to that now. But yeah, Diego. Sorry, Addy, what were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to add. I think Diego. I think the demo you kind of called out was really fascinating. Would love to kind of get that deep dive.
Yeah. So let me switch over to the screen. So this is our new platform. It's called AI Advantage. This is an anonymized client. We called it Banco Mundial. I'm originally from South America, so I gave it a very South American name. Banco Mundial, our AI Advantage. It is powered by Anthropic, and really this is bringing together all those key elements that we talked about. It has 5 key components. And I'm going to show you one of them or two of them as a quick example, just very fast paced. We are doing client announcements. This came out of our partnership with AWS, our data and AI accelerator. The first one is AI powered finance. And we have taken finance and broken it down into 12 large use cases, whether it be around financial statement analysis, cost optimization, cause of change, investor relations, contract intelligence, procurement, and we have built 12 use cases, and we have what we believe are some best-in-class pre-built prompts by industry. So we have 120 of those that then we can tailor to each client, and they can build their own libraries. Prompt engineering is still a very important element of getting maximum value from a model. The second one is the Agent Hub, which I'm going to give you a quick demo, which is really about pre-built AI agents that automate key business processes. The third one is agentic forecasting. This one is we're getting some amazing results of combining traditional machine learning with agentic AI, and we're getting some incredible numbers of increasing forecast. The ROI for a better forecast, whether it be cash flow forecast or other forecasts, when you improve that by 500 basis points, it's incredible the business value you can unlock through better forecasting. And then the final thing, and this was a client request and has become a permanent feature, is projects. We did not want to create an individual productivity tool for me to be more productive, but for the entire organization to be more productive. And then we have a data foundation with 10 pre-configured connectors for enterprise and public data. All right, let me jump into it real quick, keep it fast-paced. So the Agent Hub, well, we have a set of 25 pre-built AI agents, whether it be investment insights. There's a lot of investment agentic work that's being done, or back office around accounts payable. And then let me walk you through that. Just a very simple but very important example on accounts payable. So I'm going to look at my accounts payable agent. This is my accounts payable agent. Again, it has a supervisor agent. All this is being built on Bedrock with multi-agents using Anthropic as the LLM. I have a supervisor agent, which is going to orchestrate the workflow of a team of 5. My 5 worker agents are data extraction, invoice to PO, discrepancy detection, exception management, and reporting. When you look at the instructions, and by the way, the level of control that I have, I can assign a different large language model for each of the different agents. So let's look at this one, right? So I'm looking at the role here in terms of supervisor agents, right? Agents have tasks. So the task that I'm giving to the supervisor is to coordinate the workflow, monitor the status, prioritize reconciliation, escalate and resolve. And for each of the agents that are performing tasks, I can do that as well, right? So I can, in this case, with the data extraction agent to perform a set of tasks and tools, and then I have that for each of the models. So let me execute that, a process that would take normally weeks, if not months, with large numbers of people. It's now running. It is starting to pull the data. It's pulling the data. It is pulling in 154,000 entries, logging in for potential inaccuracies, sending the results back to the supervisor agent, and then now doing the invoice to PO matching, generating the discrepancies, exception management, and reporting. It's generated the report, and it's generating the the invoice amounts, the vendor analysis, the payment status. It's identified the 9 vendors that are exceptions, and then I can then take these and add it to a project. I can send this to my project team, and my project team will work to resolve those 9 vendor issues and complete a process that would take normally weeks to do it in days, if not hours. So that's a quick demo. I'll pause there for any questions.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. I don't know whether you wanted to double click on anything there. We're getting a little close on time, but we just got a few more minutes. Addy, anything else you wanted to add there?
Yeah, I'll just call out, I think, something that Diego you showcased, right? The demo is in perfect example of how agentic architectures are just going to simplify the lives of our key customer persona, such as the CFO. And they're looking at focusing on their problems and their business needs, their use cases. They want to abstract away the technology layers that they may not necessarily be focused on. Now, within your demo, you also called out that the flexibility of model choice. And we're going to see the emergence of the tokenomics coming from this. You're going to see customers making choices based on what fits them best. And as you kind of continue to refine certain models, you kind of want to find the right one for your right cost. So, fantastic example. And I think one of the main ways in which we go to market for the audience is, we on the AWS and Deloitte side would kind of run these as workshops for customers. So if you are curious on joining one of our sessions, please reach out. There are links where we put in survey requests. Please let us have any feedback and thoughts. Leave a comment, and we're going to offer you a chance to kind of learn some of this content as you go. And we also run workshops for our customers and partners in more one-to-one and one-to-many regional sessions. So it's one of those perks of our partnership that can really help in the FS industry.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Diego, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a really fantastic half hour. It goes so quickly, I got to say. We just seem to like we're getting into the conversation. I'm like, oh man, it's almost half an hour already. Thank you so much for spending time with us. A couple of things I just wanted to pull out. You dropped a couple of really great points I wanted to double back on, and then we'll close out. We talked a little bit about at the top of the hour about the generative AI story being about thinking about your data, your app modernization, security, resiliency, all sort of underpinning what is a successful journey towards generative AI. But the takeaway from our conversation that I really took was your 80-20 comment is don't wait for your data to be perfect. You don't have to, I think we say often that perfection can be the enemy of innovation or progress. It is finding that balance and really kind of doubling down on change management. It was sort of the big takeaways. Anything else you wanted to add on to that, Diego? Thanks for that, by the way. And yeah, anything else you wanted to add to that?
No, just it's an amazing journey. We are in a unique, privileged position to be in the front row of this. We really are very excited to see what we can do together. If we can be of help, reach out. And if you are in Europe in May, ping me.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Diego. Addy, great. A wonderful hour again with Anthropic and Deloitte. We'll look forward to seeing everybody on Industries Live again in a couple of weeks. Every second Tuesday, we'll be talking media entertainment in 2 weeks. Thank you for making us part of your Tuesday morning or Tuesday afternoon or Wednesday morning, wherever you are in the world. And we'll look forward to seeing you at the next episode of Industries Live. Have a good day. See you later.
Thank you.